It is like my nest. I was told once by someone who I admired that I had what was called a nesting syndrome. So what I do is I take my space, what belongs to me in this world, my little corner of the earth, and I create it as a comfort place.
I see it as my oasis
Why?
because it separates the outside world, and I can find my peace or my quietness and everything that I need that, makes me, I don't know, I can do what I want in a sort of way,
A place to relax and meditate.
My last homestead. My apartment is my last homestead.
Where you're at right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's how you see it, as your homestead.
Right.
Have you seen your other places you've lived in the past as
In
homesteads?
dreams. But I never thought of them as home. Only this place is home.
My home is a place of respite, entertainment, good food, always champagne.
Going home to see my kitty. My kitty lives with me here. And it's a place of peace, quiet, being able to contemplate and get ready energy for what's to come the next day.
In my mind, I kind of have different purposes for each room. And they make me feel different. Every time I go into certain rooms, I can just feel a different sense of purpose.
That way.
Maybe because I let myself free here. And because I used to work here for 11 years.
There are days I feel like 40, but my friends don't feel like 40 anymore. So a lot of those dynamics have changed. A lot of people don't live here anymore because a lot of my friends have retired to other places. And I'm still going. I haven't really retired yet.
Just coming home needs to be a place of comfort, and as it relates to the world, that's what it needs to be for me. And
We really are kind of a social network here. I mean, it gets to be like a dormitory kind of, which is kind of sweet, and I feel very much at home here, and I think there are a lot of really nice people here. It's really good to have Sister next door. I like it because when I go to work at the library, it's not very far away.
Oh, surely. Because of my history of being in this beautiful place, I take it with me. I take it with me, the history of it, with my students when I'm teaching. It's a sense of my roots here in Erie has to do with being here. And so I see that the very wood, the very trees, everything about it has been a part of me, so I hopefully take that away from here to others. Being involved more with the lay women and men that are here living beside me makes it a different kind of social relationship, obviously. But it's also one that I can invite others in, and they are very curious about my life. And so I see that as a give and take. I learn more from them, and then vice versa, because we chat.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. But years ago, not too long ago, I used to entertain more. So I've noticed the big change in my life is, as far as social, is my space is more private to me now. And not that I don't want people in it, but it tends to be more like one person or two people, not like groups. I used to have groups, and I just more intimate now.
Here?
Yeah.
Yes. I think so, yeah.
Yes. I hope this is my last place. I do.
In all
Yeah.
phases.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say yes, certainly.
I spend a lot of time at the peninsula. I think that's one of the best things ever that we have here, and no one else has it. It's amazing. So you could just go down, and you just feel like your whole body just settles, you know.
It does unconsciously. I think that's something we can't escape. We become part of the environment we live in. If we don't thrive there. Take the time to introspect and learn enough about oneself that we're able to find the thing in us that really is the gift that we want to give back to the world.
Well, yeah, I like to make it a part of me. You know, whatever I like, you know, it'll show up. Your personality and everything will show up in how you decorate your apartment and everything else. You know, but like I said before, it's like your oasis. It's a place you can escape to relax, to enjoy whatever you like to do at home. And then you have people and places outside of your apartment, which could be in the same building, can enjoy that also, okay, but in a different way. Because you're not at home anymore, you're in a different place, and there are different people all around you, and you have to interact with everything.
No, it's all one. I'm going to put it in terms of this. God's will put me here. That's it. So since He put me here, and I accept that that's who I am, and that reflects my environment, I guess.
Well, I still think of this as a retreat with the nuns, even though it's not. I still don't like swearing. So when I hear people swear, because to me it was home. You know, even now.
But that's the biggest dinner that we've had here. We served 30 people in that room, and in all actuality we served 36 dinners because friends of mine came and they said, what do you want us to do? And I said, take some of the food to the people who can't come to the dinner. So the 6 people that couldn't all got piles of food, turkey dinner and everything that went with it.
I had to fill out this form, and I realized that since 1975 only, I have moved 17 times in my adult life. And I felt like wherever I moved, you know, with having kids growing up, my part of my job was to establish ourselves in the neighborhood, in the community. And I always did that, you know, that was essential.
It certainly, like I said, it's part of who I am and has been since I entered the Sisters of St. Joseph, and I came here. I was 21 years old, and so came into this place from a very small town, and to arrive here and be so welcomed by the women who were here. And it certainly makes it be a part of who I am now as the years have moved on. And there's a saying the Sisters of St. Joseph have, we always move toward the more. It's one of our, something that we have in our charism. And it's, my sense is living here and being a part of the transformation that has occurred through the years. I came in as a postulant, then as a novice, a professed sister, and now coming back after the transition of this building into what it is now. I think it makes you be a part of, you're almost part of the structure of it, but you need to move. It's that moving toward, and you don't know exactly where, but you have to be flexible.
Well, I've lived with my children. I've had a husband at one time. I've been on my own. But a lot of times I was with family. You know, most of the time it was with family. I kind of like my space. As I get older, I know it gets a little harder sometimes, you know, because of your age. And you still like to be independent. So that's what I like to hang on to.
Do I prefer to live alone? Oh, hell yeah, I'm my own best friend.
I really like being on my own. I really, really do. And, you know, that's the nice thing about this place, too, is we can be on our own, but we're not alone either, you know. So somebody, you know, word just went around that somebody was in the hospital, and I know that if I needed help, it would be here.
It doesn't matter. I mean, I've lived many, many years with many different sisters, you know, and then when I'm living alone, people would say to me, "Do you mind living alone?" I have no problem with it. I enjoy having my cat with me. That's nice to have something when you open the door. There's someone there to say meow. I think that pets are so important. My history here at with Hands taking over the building. They wanted one sister of St. Joseph to be here as a presence. It's kind of, they call it a presence ministry. And so I had already had a cat, and I was at another location. And I said to Chuck, I said, I won't come unless I can bring my cat. So they changed the rule. But I think it's important. I think it's important for seniors to have an animal with them, especially if they're living alone.
Sometimes, and then sometimes it's lonely. But I do live alone, so. But that can be lonely, or it can be really energizing and great. But you know, it's like anything, ebb and flow.
Ebb and flow, that's right, that's right.
Life is all around you and all kinds of things are going on. There's good and bad. You tend to have a little fear, only because as you get older, like, you know, you're in a place or an environment that there's a lot happening. When you're younger, you don't have that fear as much. You like excitement and to explore. I like to explore my own apartment.
I think it's kind of like a moat around it, maybe. And I know the neighborhood, and I've lived downtown repeatedly on many occasions, and I'm fine with it. And I feel at ease downtown. But I feel like this is kind of a little island that has a bit of security attached to it.
That for that. My sense with the neighborhood, hopefully, would be and is kind of like some stability for the neighborhood, a sense of an anchor, maybe. I remember when we were going to leave here, that the sisters called the neighbors together and told them that we promised that it wouldn't just be vacant. We would work to make sure something would happen here, because we were very conscious of the neighborhood and that we had played a role in the neighborhood of being a stabilizer, maybe.
But the good thing is that the street I live on is very much resembles a small town in that there are a lot of people that at all different ages and types that walk down my sidewalk, up and back and forth. It's just not everywhere, but on my side of the street, I think it's pleasant, and people, there's just always constantly people walking. Sometimes with dogs, sometimes with babies, sometimes alone with their country fair bag. They went down to the corner. But it's very much like a small town feeling in that way. So it's nice.
Yes, I have done that. When I worked with the mentally retarded, I worked with them for 20 years in the group homes. And there was a time when they got together and the manager of the group home bought me a mug. It was just a cup and it said, "Thanks for all you do." Because I worked third shift for 20 years and I was in charge of keeping the home clean at night. And I was told that I had one of the cleanest group homes in the whole complex of group homes. And I was kind of honored by that.
Sure.
And I had no idea that anybody looked at me that way or that it had any significance.
When you have children, it's a lot of give and take. And sometimes you don't get a whole lot in return, even as a wife that I was, sometimes a little bit more, give than take.
I think everything I do, I don't expect anything back. In giving to my children, I don't expect anything back. I get it, I get it back, but I don't expect it back. When I taught school, an 8th grader, Mary was her name, and she wrote me a note at the end of school. And she says, I don't know how much music I learned from you or math. She said, but whatever I got, I'll never forget.
Getting something back. I've never really looked at it that way. It's always, if I have it, it's yours.
I'm very fortunate, really. I realized one thing, especially when my son died, though. I tried to greet everyone at the ceremony, knowing who they were and who I had planned to do, one thing or another. And there was a great large group of people there that I didn't really identify as a whole. And they were right there in front, and I thought, gee, I've got a lot on my mind. And they stood up, when it was their turn, they stood up and sang a song that my boys had sung in the Cincinnati Boy Choir. And they knew that it was my favorite, and it was Growing Up Yonder. It's a spiritual. And that was always my favorite of what the boys sang, and I didn't know why, I just liked it. But when they sang it, it impressed me more than any other time in my life.
I guess the friendships within the little community here, I'm always surprised at how trusting they are with me in telling their stories to me, their need to ask me to pray for them. I don't know, one of them said to me, and I was very surprised at it, she said, I feel safe here, sister, because you're here. And I'm like, really? And
Right.
yeah, and I was just taken by that.
We're going
'cause
to call you a toughie.
Yeah. So it was something that I appreciate. I didn't expect. So I feel that there is a respect that I was hoping for, but I sense that there is that here with the residents with me, and I hopefully return that in many ways too. And it's the listening, I think, is maybe the part of the background as my being taught in the religious life is to be a good listener to them. And as they're aging here, they're sometimes they're scared. And I think just to know that it's okay to grow old, but just think what you've been through, so it's okay. I think our renovations that are going on now here, it's scary for some of them. I talked for about a half hour with one of them the other day and said, just think what you've been through in your life. This is just one more thing to do, and it's making an adventure. So I'm trying to say, and I'm thinking the same thing for myself, but no.
Yeah,
But
it can be
it
difficult.
was somehow, I guess, this presence ministry is something that I've gotten more back from me than I think that I give to others. But
Great.